I'm gonna come to y'all today with a special episode due to the hot climate of society right now. And I'm gonna start by saying this. There are moments in history when the loudest response isn't the right one. Moments when outrage isn't enough. Moments when silence isn't acceptable either. This is one of those moments because today's conversation isn't party politics. It's not about red versus blue. It's not about who voted for who and who you plan to vote for next time. This is about humanity. This is about moral responsibility. And this is about what we should expect from anyone who holds or has held the office of the President of the United States. But I say all that, welcome to the inner room. So, I want to explain first why this episode mattered. Because recently, President Donald Trump shared a post on his Truth Social that depicted President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama in a degrading and dehumanizing way. And before anyone rushes to defend or dismiss this, let me say this clearly. This episode is not about defending the Obamas. It's not about policy debates. It's not about reopening political battles from the past. This episode exists because leadership carries weight. Words matter. Image matters. And actions, especially from powerful people, shapes culture. Now, the presidency is not just a job. It's a moral platform. It's a symbolic office. It sets the tone not just for government, but for society. And when the president speaks, children listen. And when the president posts, the world watches. And when the president mocks, dehumanizes, or degrades, others feel emboldened to do the same. And this is why maturity matters. This is why restraint matters. And this is why decorum matters. Not because presidents are perfect, but because they are visible. Some people will say it was a joke. Some will say he didn't do it. Some will say people are too sensitive. Some people will say this is a political theater. But human that strips dignity is not harmless. Provocation that targets humanity is not neutral. And when leaders use imagery that dehumanizes others, it normalizes cruelty. And it teaches people that mockery is strength, that humiliation is power, and that empathy is weakness. And that lesson does real damage, especially in a nation already fractured by fear, resentment, and distrust. Now, let me get this out and say, we also have to confront something that's very uncomfortable, but necessary. If you're not aware of this, you're going to be aware of this now. In America, there's a long and painful history of dehumanizing Black Americans through imagery, caricature, and symbolism. That history did not end because someone claims they didn't mean it that way. Impact doesn't disappear because intent is denied. When imagery echoes a past where Black bodies were animalized, mocked, or stripped of dignity, it carries weight, whether acknowledged or not. And leaders do not get to pretend that history doesn't exist. And ignoring that context isn't neutrality, it's negligence. Now, let me say something that's very important here. You can disagree with Barack Obama's presidency and still recognize his humanity. You can oppose Michelle Obama's viewpoints and still affirm her dignity. Decency is not political loyalty. Respect is not ideological surrender. Maturity is not weakness. The moment we excuse dehumanization because it comes from our side, we lose moral ground. And once the moral ground is gone, power becomes dangerous. Now, what should leadership look like? Leadership should be restraint when emotions are high, responsibility when influence is vast, empathy when division is deep. We don't need leaders who escalate cruelty. We don't need leaders who elevate conduct. The question isn't, can you get away with it? The question, however, what does it cost the soul of the nation? From a moral and faith perspective, this moment is clear. Every person carries inherent worth, not because of status, not because of power or popularity, but because they are human. And we all are called to call people up, not tear people down. And to speak truth without abandoning compassion. To remember that leadership is stewardship, not dominance. When we lose side of that, politics becomes corrosive instead of constructive. Now, this episode is about accountability. It's about standards, and it's about refusing to let decency become optional. Because if we normalize dehumanization at the highest level, we teach it everywhere else. And that is a price too high for any nation to pay. Now, this is the inner room where reflection becomes reaction and humanity comes before politics. I want to keep it that way out of respect for what this page is built to be. Understand, this is not okay for anybody in leadership or any role of importance that has that public eye on them to act this way. And it shouldn't be something you willingly let happen. But this is called the inner room for a reason, because what you have inside you will eventually come to light. And we see it clearly here. Whether or not you say your staffer did it or not, you let it happen. It is on a page with your name on it. Respectfully, the accountability effort here needs to be taken. You need to understand no matter who did it, it's under your name. And that's a life lesson for anything and anyone. We are called to do great and good things, all to the glory of Him. And by Him, that's God. When we take advantage of that, or we don't take that into account in what we do in our life and what we post, say, it's a dangerous game. Again, this is the inner room. What you have in your heart will eventually come to light. Catch y'all next time. Peace.